Hey friends, Jen back here today. So the topic for today's video is about patience and kindness, and most significantly, patience and kindness kindness, if I can say that today, as it relates to body image and self-worth and self-confidence. Now, to understand why these topics and why they're so important to me and why I'm bringing them forward to all of you, it's important to understand a little bit more about my story. And for the first 20 years of life, okay, maybe not when I was super little, but for the first 20 years of life, I was obese. And when I say obese, I mean my max weight when I graduated high school was over 280. And when I finally started losing the weight in my early 20s, I was just over 300 pounds. And I can tell you that prior to starting to lose the weight, I would have told you, I've tried everything. And I had tried a lot of things, and my mind wasn't right. And in reflection, my mind not being right, coupled with not eating right, coupled with not moving enough, it was this trifecta that held the weight on me. And it was this trifecta that even when I was eating well, the stress and the anxiety and the negative view of myself in the mirror held it to me and really impeded upon my weight loss. And we'll talk more about that, maybe not today, but perhaps in a future video. But okay, first 20 years, I'll tell you what, the bullying and criticism that came along with it, although I don't condone any of that behavior, it made me who I am today. So is what it is at this point, right? Over the last 20 years since I lost the bulk of my weight, I'm proud to say I kept the most of it off. And there are those 20 or 30 pounds that sneak in sometimes. And for anyone who's had weight loss or who has struggled with weight, I'm sure you'll understand what I'm saying on that one. And I do know for me, those 20, 30 pounds, they always come in when I let certain things into my diet. But it wasn't until recently that I would have told you I was still hanging on to that self-doubt, that when I looked in the mirror, I still saw this large girl, even though this large 300-pound girl, when I looked in the mirror, sometimes I still saw that large girl. So there was a lot of work to be done there as well. And one of the reasons for my video today. So, okay. Being patient with yourself. Guys, first and foremost, it's knowing what you want. It's knowing, and if you've watched my videos before, you're probably saying, Jen, you always say that it's what you want, why you want it first. And it is. It just is. If you know what you want and you know why you want it, then you're going to be more apt to knowing where you're headed, right? And fact of the matter is, you may be okay with those extra 20 pounds in order to have the chocolate cake. You may be okay with the extra 30 pounds to have the pizza once in a while. I know for me, it's something that I'm not. I know for me and my why, when I add in certain foods, I get jiggle in ways that I don't like. I don't like the jiggle in between the thighs or the belly. It just makes me very, very self-conscious and not a mental status that I want to be in. So first and foremost, developing that why. And I have to caution you guys here, it's having balance. Of course, during certain things, I may entertain the idea of having a few chips, but I know where and how I can balance. I know for me, having sugar opens up a whole plethora of wanting everything else in my sight. So for me, for my balance, I tend to stay away from that one and go towards chips because it's something I wouldn't overindulge in. So define that a little bit more for yourself. Guys, the next one we're talking about being kind and being patient with ourselves. I really believe in mirror checks. And as I mentioned earlier, it took me a long time to be able to look in the mirror, even as recent as within the last year, to look in that mirror, especially knowing that I have an extra 25, 30 pounds right now, looking in that mirror and not seeing that 300-pound young girl, it takes work, and it takes focus, and it takes constant reminders to say, all right, we're not there anymore, and actually looking at yourself and pointing out the good, right? Looking in the mirror, and instead of criticizing the things that you see, attaching to the positive and saying, dang girl, you got a gorgeous smile, or whatever. Look at those muscles you're getting. I don't care. I know that every single person watching this video has something amazing about them that you can start defining. And fact is being grateful that we just have the shrine of ourselves, of our bodies. That's something to look in the mirror and just be grateful for in and of itself. So mirror checks, you guys, super important. And I'll do another video on that one here down the road. So another big one for me when I look at patients and I look at where I'm headed and where I want to go with my weight loss, it's a huge reminder for me when I look back and say, Jen, you didn't add those extra 20 pounds in the last day. And I think that many of you may resonate with me here when we want to lose it quick. But that simple reminder for me, that simple reminder to say, Jen, you didn't gain it in a day. You're not going to lose it in a week. And reminding myself to say, okay, over the last 3-4 years, you've allowed yourself to have a few more ice creams than you should have. Hence why you have this extra weight around your belly. Now, guys, saying things like that, it's a good reminder to say, okay, I'm on track, I'm eating right, I'm moving more, and it'll come. So remind yourself, it didn't happen, whatever, overnight. So it's not going to change overnight. But those small steps and consistency will get you there. So, guys, what motivates you is the next one. So we've had your what and your why, your mirror check, how long it took you to get there. The next is what motivates you. I can tell you for me, I am not motivated by the scale. Quite the opposite, in fact. For me, the scale is super demotivating. There were times in my life that I would get on the scale every single day, and it would literally make me sink when I wasn't seeing results. Now, I know people, I'm very close people in my life who are very scale driven, and that's fantastic because it works for them. For me, I'm about non-scale wins. I'm about taking pictures and looking at them through time to actually visually see the difference. And there's so much power in being able to look back and say, here's what I looked like a year ago. Here's what I look like now. Yeah, baby. And you know what? If it's things that you have to do you want to do the other direction and you want to lose weight, that's okay too. Don't beat yourself up. Just say, okay, here's where I am now, and here's where I know I'm going. Now, your wins could be how your clothes are fitting. Maybe it is your measurements. Some people like taking measurements. I have in the past. Again, wasn't really a driver for me. So figure out what that is for you. What motivates you to keep going and keep consistent. Guys, the next is get help. And this could come in so many different ways. It could come in the way of learning about nutrition, learning about what works for your body. Now, I'm putting together a tracker, which I'll talk more about here in videos to come. For me, it came to really understanding which foods impacted my body in certain ways. I can tell you, for me, there are some seemingly healthy foods that, even if I have in moderation, even if it's within a plan, generally speaking, will give me extra jiggle, which I don't love, and make me gain weight. So monitoring your foods, how they impact you, how they make you feel, not just physically, but sometimes, you guys, foods can impact us emotionally. Again, there are some seemingly healthy foods that can actually cause anxiety and depression in some people. So, and I'll talk more about that on a future video as well. Exercise. You know, sometimes we need help to just say, what do I do? I tend to be a simple person. I like getting more movement throughout the day, and again, play with it, figure out what works for you. There are so many different options for exercise and resources. Guys, my recommendation on both of these, nutrition and exercise, just know that there's a lot of recommendations and everyone's going to tell you that it's their way. Check out different things and figure out which one works best for you, because that's how you're going to be most successful. Have your hormones checked. I'm so grateful to have an amazing holistic doctor that I work with. She's fantastic, and she's taught me so much about my hormone levels and adrenals and how it impacts our body and how to get things in check. Talk to your physician and work with them on that as well. And you guys, we got to talk about the mental health piece of this. The things that are going on in our head impact us physically. They impact us in every single way. Talk to someone, get help, get a coach, get a therapist, do what you need to do. Talk to your doctor so that you can look at yourself in the mirror and say, I am fucking gorgeous. That is what you should say every day, because you are. So, okay. And yes, I had to make some notes because I didn't want to forget anything for you guys today. So the next point is you guys stop looking for outside affirmation and stop looking for other people to tell you what you want to hear. And this one, quite honestly, I knew it, and I am huge on affirmations, but you guys, I can tell you for a long time, I had been looking for other people to say, dang, you're gorgeous, Jen, or affirmations another way. And just recently I had a moment that I said, shit, you know what? I've only needed me to tell myself that this whole time. I've only needed me to look in the mirror and say, dang, Jen, you're on your way. You are so brave and so confident. You guys, look at you. Start looking in you and say, here are all the things that I'm so good at. And if I just focus on all these things that I'm so good at, I'm going to have and build the life that I want, because you deserve it. Own it. Just own it. Next, where's your focus? So being patient with yourself means having the focus. It is being regimented to say, okay, I'm going to drink this much water a day. I'm going to get this much sleep a day. I'm going to move at least this much a day. And that could just be getting up off your butt and moving on a commercial. I don't care. Just move more. Move more, sit less. Food. What's your food plan? Plan ahead. Guys, I don't personally recommend for most people to just cut everything out right away. For some people it works. For me, it actually works really well. For most people, it doesn't. Give yourself balance if you need to. And again, get that emotional piece of the food on track, because it's super important. And then lastly, being patient with yourself also comes down to what is long-term sustainable for you. If you're doing something, if you're working towards something and it's not long-term sustainable, it is going to be hard it could be hard to keep it going. And that to me is where the crashes come, right? Like, oh, we're doing good and yay, we lost 100 pounds. And everything we're doing was completely unsustainable, and then we gain 50 of it back. That's where you can get that balance. It may take you longer to get there in the long run, but the journey in the long run and where you'll be long term will be better sustainable. So there you have it. Being patient with you, with your weight, with your self-image. Quick recap. Look at your why, look at your what, determine the balance, decide what's going to be right for you. Do your mirror checks. Write some things out and start looking your ass in the mirror every single day and reminding yourself of what you're capable of doing. Remind yourself how long it took you to get to where you're at. It doesn't change overnight, you guys. What motivates you? Grab a hold of it and focus on that what motivates you, so that you keep going, so that you don't lose momentum. Get help. However you need help. You guys, I'm here. You could subscribe. If you want to set up a coaching call, certainly shoot me a message. I would love to help in any way I can. Stop looking for outside affirmation. Look at you, right? Where's your focus? Very important. And finally, that long-term sustainability. You guys, I've maintained my weight loss for 2 decades now, for the bulk of it. And I can tell you, I know it very personally. you are worth this journey. And even if you have ups and downs along the way, you are worth being kind to you and being patient with yourself to get to where you want to go. So stay very well. If you like this video, if you like this content, share it along, and I will see you again soon. Till next time, friends. Bye.